Okay, talking tennis here at the Davis Cup in Malaga. Just going to try and find somebody from Finland. I don't know if there's anyone here from Finland. Oh, hello. You're from Finland, I guess. And do you live here in Spain, or you?
No, at least not yet.
Okay, not yet. When did you arrive?
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Right now, you're going to be on Talking Tennis. It's a new YouTube channel, and we've got about 12 subscribers. But maybe with you being on, you might help us get to 20 or 30.
We're gonna have 16.
Maybe 16, yeah. And tell me about the tennis so far today, and have you been having fun?
Yes, we have a great day for tennis today because these guys are so great players.
These guys are good players?
By the way, my name is Virtanen. My surname is Virtanen.
He's waiting his turn. It's coming.
I have a racket here also, so I'm ready to play.
Small misunderstanding. We thought he's going to play on a doubles, but okay, so.
That's why I need some for courage, you know.
What about your man Emil though? He's injured, so is it going to be, because right now, of course, it's 1-1. It's all down to the doubles against Canada, and yeah, you got it on. Good. And by the way, you're flown from Finland, right? So you're flown from Finland. You've got a beer and you're watching on your phone.
Of course. Yeah. You don't. Wait.
I know.
We are ready.
Yeah, life is full of mysteries.
Yeah. One of the mysteries is.
Half an hour for the beer. So and finally, when we got it, so we decided to stay, enjoy it for a moment.
Good word, cherish. By the way, tell me about the beer prices in Spain compared to Finland.
Beer prices. Quite good actually.
Oh, in Finland they're quite good, or quite good in Spain?
Spain.
Yeah. How much is a beer in Helsinki or in Finland?
No idea. I would say 10 euros.
10 euros. And how much was this beer then? Do you know?
I didn't pay it, so.
I know. Maybe 5 euros.
That's why I said it's very affordable, of course.
And one last question. One last question for all of you. Who is winning, Finland or Canada?
Finland!
Of course, Finland! Of course.
Finland! There we go. Thanks, guys. Take care. Talking tennis. Finland? Español? ¿Habláis inglés? Okay. Why are you here today?
I received entries from the university.
Oh, okay. But are you supporting Canada or Finland?
Both.
Oh, both. Very diplomatic. Muy diplomático. ¿Cómo se dice en español? Diplomático. Yo hablo español, pero mi canal de YouTube es solo en inglés. Pero tu nivel de inglés tan bueno. And your English? Ah, you speak a little bit. Gracias. Hablamos. Finland? If you're from Finland? That's really what I'm really keen to find. So this is Talking Tennis. It's not live, don't worry. So if we make a mistake, we can edit it. But tell me about your day today so far.
Oh, absolutely great, you know. We've been waiting for this for a long time.
Yeah,
and now we're doing it.
And it could happen. I mean, right now, 1-1.
It may happen, but we'll see.
Did you fly from Finland today?
No, we've been here for the golf, and this is the main thing.
So when did you arrive? When did you arrive? Sorry.
They came Saturday.
Saturday. Okay, Saturday. And you got here when?
Here?
Yeah.
A month ago for golf.
month ago?
Yeah.
Oh, you've been playing golf for a month.
Yeah.
And when are you going back to Finland?
Oh, next Thursday.
Okay, so this is the end of your trip, and it's lucky that Finland are here and they're making it happen anyway. And you had a good time?
Very good.
Right, thank you very much. Take care. Buenas. Okay, I'm just going to have one more. Let's go for one more, shall we? While my setup here is still working. Finland does Malaga. Okay, I think I Finnish? Okay, good. That's what I want. I want Finnish people. And you speak English?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anybody in Finland that doesn't speak English? Everyone.
Yeah, there are.
Is there anyone in Finland that doesn't drink beer? No. Have you flown from Finland like today, or do you live here, or what's the situation? Okay. And what time did you arrive?
We arrived at 6 o'clock yesterday.
When are you leaving?
From Finland.
When you go back to Finland?
next Sunday.
Oh, you go Sunday, so
Yeah.
you're going to make the semi-finals, do you think?
Yeah, no, I think not.
You think Canada will
No.
win?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know yet.
We have been here 2 months.
Oh, you've been here 2 months.
Yeah.
You have a nice tan.
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
yes,
and what
yes.
have you been doing for 2 months apart from drinking beer?
Garden and look after our house and so on.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
have a house here.
Yeah.
Anyway, and you having a good time?
Yes, I have a very good time. Here.
Viva España, no?
What?
Live Spain.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And Talking Tennis, that's the YouTube channel, and you're going to be famous.
Okay, yeah.
I'm looking for somebody from Finland. Is anyone here from Finland? You're from Finland. So this is Talking Tennis. It's a new and amazing YouTube channel, and you're going to be my last people that I'm going to talk to. Are Finland going to win?
Of course.
Okay. And when did you arrive?
We live here.
Oh, you live here? Are you living in this famous like village, like it's near here and? Yeah, but that's the famous village where lots of Finnish people live, right? Yeah. Do you live? Do you?
Southern town in Finland.
And yeah, exactly, the most southern town. And this is a YouTube channel. Wow, you are playing, no? You're.
He's beyond.
Yeah, beyond board. Okay, good. And are Finland gonna win against Canada?
Yeah, we're kind of favorites now.
Well, almost. I mean, the doubles. No Emil Rusovori, but the doubles now, you've got a chance.
It's even better, you know. Harry, Hyvä Harry. Harry is one of the top doubles players, and Otto, he just won, so he's very hot playing and very yeah. That's nice. And Otto has a huge game, so you know he's gonna be very good in
Do you have a
doubles.
huge game?
I do.
Do you have a huge game?
Of course, yeah. But only in the bars. Only in the bars here. You know.
Wonderful.
Björn Borg.
Nice, beyond board, yeah. Wonderful, thank you very much. Thank you as well. You especially, thank you. Okay, I think we got a nice little finish touch there here in Malaga, the Davis Cup. So, over and out for now. But who knows? The finish might still be here in a day or two, and therefore be in the semi-finals. And we might get a bit more Finland mania here in Malaga. Take care, everyone. Hi, Novak. I don't know if you saw what Vasek said last night about organising and tennis could and should be even bigger than it already is. If only the people organising it were doing their job properly. He highlighted the balls, he highlighted playing late at night and then early in the morning and injuries. I just wondered whether you heard that, but also if you'd like to add something.
No, I haven't heard that. I actually saw Vasek just before I came here to see you guys, but I haven't seen his statement on that. But there's been a lot of discussions on the effect of the different balls in basically every week on the joints and the wrist and the shoulders and the elbows. And you know, I think someone told me that in terms of injuries this year comparing to other years is, you know, drastically has gone up. So yeah, in terms of the balls, I absolutely agree. There should be some discussion on that. I actually spoke about that with Andrea Gaudenzi, the ATP president, and Massimo, who is the CEO, in Paris during the Paris-Bercy week. And you know, I shared my opinion and my views, and then you know, obviously they are thinking about various different options and ways of how to regulate that and how to make it better for the players and prevent injuries. In terms of the scheduling, I think you know there has been a lot of criticism and a lot of basically players complaining about it. So I think that should be addressed in a proper way. Obviously, Davis Cup and ITF is regulated differently from ATP Tour and from Grand Slams. You have different governing bodies, different schedules, different broadcasting demands. In the end of the day, we know that the TV is the one deciding, fortunately or unfortunately, but you know, there has to be more, I guess, thorough discussions on that as well.
Yes, hello. Now you now should see me on a better camera. I don't know if the mic is okay. Let me check that. Actually, no, it's... Yes, that's a good mic. Yeah, just setting things up here. Enter the Damien, yes. The countdown is Ghosty's favorite part. That's why we had it twice, since, you know, I got here a little later than planned. But anyway, we have the match now, and I have to turn on the stream. Yeah, and speaking of Phil Stricker, that's obviously the one that everyone was sort of waiting for in the group. We didn't know if it was going to be second up or third up, since, well, that's how these things work in the group system. It is third up, and it's actually quite important for both players. Sorry, for Stricker still. Fields has already qualified. However, he can be first or second in his group. Why is it starting so late? Says Michael. I mean, Kobori and Nardi played for over 2 hours, so that's why. Otherwise, you know, it's as scheduled. Kobori and Nardi were starting at 3 p.m. local time. Phil Stricker were not before 4 p.m. But, well, that was, of course, just 1 hour for that match. So, yeah, and Kobori and Nardi played a pretty great 5-setter. It sort of reminded me of Arnaldi Passaro last year, when, I don't know how much you guys remember that, but it was a great 5-setter to end things between the two Italians. Passaro won it, saving like 3 match points, but actually didn't qualify. At that time, he couldn't qualify anymore. Well, with Stricker and yeah, Ghosty, that's true. Kobori and Stricker won the 2022 French Open doubles together, and also 2019 they were runners up. So it was a fun story when they played in the group in first match. But anyway, the stakes. So Fields has already qualified, but he can be first or second in the group, depending on purely one thing, whether he wins or loses the match. Is it worth, you know, killing yourself for? Probably not, but I think, you know, obviously we've seen this at the ATP finals, and we're also going to see here that the players don't just tank in order to be fresher for the semis, especially as they're playing the earlier match here. I don't think it matters all that much. I mean, the earlier group, sort of. Then we have Stricker, who actually just needs a set to qualify. And that's because Nardi beat Kobori. This would have been very different if Kobori beat Nardi, but since Nardi won that 5th set tiebreak, Stricker just needs a set to qualify. Otherwise, he will actually make it on sets, you know, on the balance of highest percentage of sets won, let's say, over Kobori. Even if he loses, if he loses 1-3 or 2-3, and if he wins, then he's just tied on wins with Fields and gets that because of the head-to-head. The head-to-head is the determining factor if you get... the head-to-head is the determining factor if we get a tie of 2 players, whereas if we get a tie of 3, the first thing that comes to mind is the percentage of sets won. Fields has already saved the deciding point, the break point, actually, in the first game, and now we have the decider. Look, yeah, he has chosen the deuce side. You know, we've only seen obviously left-handers so far, Stricker and Schellbach, every time going for outside, as they should, whereas right-handers have been switching up. Fields tries to go down the tee, it doesn't make it. I saw there were like 2 more comments in the chat, but I'll answer that once the game is over, since, well, it's the last point in this system. Stricker is in the rally. Nice cross-court backhand from Fields, setting him up for a forehand attack. He is in control of the point. Stricker getting some good defense, but it's not going to be enough. So Fields ends up saving the 2 breakpoints. Nice combination here, but honestly, Stricker was a little passive here. Like, he got a decent return in and then just allowed Fields to have everything in his control. How much does an undefeated champion get? Let me try to look it up. I think it was like $150,000 for participation, literally. That's a participation fee. Whereas, yeah, and if you win a round robin match, you get 32.5K. Semi-final is 113.5. Final is 153. So an undefeated champion gets over $500,000. Then we also had, is there a large crowd there? No. Very clear answer to that, no. And I actually can still be, by the way, speaking of our pre-tournament predictions, I can still be right about this group if Stricker beats Fils. Then it's all going to fall into place for me because I had Stricker to top it, Fils to be second, Nardi to be third, and Koboli to be fourth. In other cases, it won't work out for me because, well, if for example, if Stricker wins a set but loses here, then I'm going to get right the two players who qualified and also the two players who got eliminated, but their orders will be swapped. Whereas, of course, if Koboli qualified, I had him at fourth. So, all in Dominic Stricker's hands. I mean, all in Arthur Fils' hands, however you want to call it. When it comes to how the guys have performed, Arthur Fils, of course, started with a pretty uneven match against Luca Nardi. I would say he mostly had like two awful games that both led to him losing a set. But he managed to get himself like more engaged into it mentally. He managed to finally have like some range on the forehand that he couldn't find at all in the first two sets, let's say, almost the first two sets. Played some of his best points in the second set tiebreak. And I think from that point onwards, especially when they were both like on top of their game, then he was actually way better than Nardi. Whereas in the second match, he just dominated Koboli, basically blitzed him in like an hour. Speaking of blitzing, that's what Dominic Stricker did to Luca Nardi, because he actually produced the fastest victory in the history of the NextGen finals over him in the second group match, 54 minutes. And that was a bit of a disappointment because Nardi had recently beaten him in Bratislava, and that was an amazing match. Even though it was straight, it was like 7-6, 6-3, and the rallies there, the high octane pace was ridiculous. But here he actually just really dominates Nardi's backhand. And it was a little bit of a surprise, not only because of that Bratislava match, but also because Stricker lost the opening game to Koboli. As Ghosty noted, they won Roland Garros in juniors together. But he lost that game to Koboli and actually had a bandaged thigh and couldn't really move in, let's say, like if it was like a quick lunge in either direction, he would have issues with it. So for that reason, it was quite surprising that he comes out against Nardi and there's no sign of it. But I'm assuming that, anyway, he got some good massage, a good massage or something from the physio, and the problem must have, worn off. And Stricker was able to perform, and I guess we're expecting the same from him today as well. So it's all up to him. He wins a set, he qualifies, regardless of the next, the next sets they play. So the plan for Stricker is very clear. If he wins the match, he also tops the group. Is that a big deal? I don't know. Depends also who wins group, the second group, where the situation before today was like analogical in that you've got one player at 2-0 and he's playing one of the players who own a 1-1 record, whereas the other 1-1 record player is facing someone with 2 losses. Of course, the guy who basically Fils is Medjedovic, Shelbach is Stricker, Van Asch is Koboli, and then Nardi is Mikkelsen in this scenario. And just like for Nardi, it was really tough to get out of groups. It's also going to be pretty hard for Mikkelsen, although he does have a slightly better record because he enters this day with a 3-6 set record, whereas Nardi was entering with a 2-6. And by the time Nardi lost the opening set against Koboli, he was actually already out. And Fils was also qualified at the same time. I might turn on some lights here, I guess. In a second. A nice arrangement would be for Stricker to win a set, Fils the match. Well, that would be a good arrangement for them, yeah. For me, it would be Stricker winning the match, since then I get the predictions right. But who cares, right? The second group, I'm pretty unlikely to get right anyway. Although, depends. If Mikkelsen beats Van Asch and Medjedovic beats Shelbach, then I actually could still get both groups right. But it really depends. Some football talk. Fils is the clear standout, I guess. Well, before the tournament, we thought that was going to be Stricker and Fils. mostly as the candidates to win the whole thing. I picked Stricker to top the group and sort of had this idea in mind that he actually beats Fields, he beats everyone, just like he did last year. But then he falls either in the semis or in the final. I think I had him like maybe losing to Medjedovic in the semis and then Fields to win the title. Which would no, actually not to Medjedovic, but to Mikkelsen or to Van Asch. But anyway, of course that doesn't really matter. Fields is still the main favorite, but I think especially with Medjedovic looking so strong, he cannot really be sure about that. And also Stricker, if that fire issue is not a problem anymore, he's a threat to win it all 100% as well. Van Asch, still, I don't really consider him a factor to win the whole thing. I just think against guys like this, he would probably be a little overpowered. Whereas Mikkelsen has been slightly disappointing. I mean, he had his moments against Medjedovic, but then didn't really recover for that Shellbike match and was really easily outplayed. So I think maybe the biggest disappointment so far has been Mikkelsen. Only guy out by now is Nardi, who at least got that one win against Koboli, and I think only really has one match that he can regret, and that was that 54-minute blitzing by Stricker. Stricker, yeah, he's moving much better today, but even he won't be able to get to that Fields forehand cross court. There was a mention of Fields being a great athlete as well, which probably is a reference to that video that we saw yesterday, right? The base camp thing. If anyone hasn't seen that yet, I definitely recommend it. It's on the Tennis TV, I think, channel, or maybe ATP Tour, whatever, any one of these YouTube channels, where before the tournament, they gathered 7 players. Medjedovic wasn't there since he was still in Malaga, for the Davis Cup finals. And they made them go through like these 4 drills, testing their athletic ability. One was a star drill where they sort of just, run in the shape of a star. The 505 drill, which is like a change of direction sort of a quickness test. There was the 10-meter sprint, just sprint as fast as you can. And there was also a vertical jump without using your hands. And basically, the player that won all the competitions was Arthur Fils. And it's not that much of a surprise either. He is really a fantastic athlete. I was surprised that Stricker didn't perform as poorly as maybe... Well, Mikkelsen was like the worst in almost everything, and Van Asch was not far above him. Well, Stricker was actually pretty like in middle of the road, which was surprising to me. I think Medjedovic probably would have been like slightly below Stricker in most of these, and still higher than Mikkelsen. But still, I figured, Stricker, Medjedovic, they have like similar body types. I figured that they were gonna be a little lower, but well, I don't know how to take that. Is it disappointing for someone like Van Asch? I don't know, but generally speaking, we haven't learned all that much from that base camp thing. I would say it was fun to watch, but basically the athletes that we knew were the best. They managed to show that also on these little competitions. And Stricker also had to save a deciding point just now, but there's just lures out an error from Fields with the slice back and netted. There was a question about Shelton. Why didn't Ben Shelton play? Well, we haven't gotten like the official, clear statement, I don't think. But I have to say that what? Nardi's highlight was Davis Cup, by the way? No. Ghosty Nardi wasn't at the Davis Cup. Anyway, Nardi was at the time playing in Japan. Challengers in Kobe, Matsuyama, Yokohama. A full swing of that, and he did very well. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that Ben Shelton, we haven't gotten like an official statement, but I actually totally understand why he's not playing. I mean, it's kind of, he's above this event. And that's not a bad thing. Usually when someone says they're above something, it kind of says that they're, I don't know, egoistical or whatever, that they're not too humble maybe sometimes. But no, actually, I think it's very clear that if you're like, Grand Slam semifinalist, top 20, you don't really have all that much to gain from the next gen finals. Of course, besides the crazy amount of money, but if you don't really need it, you get enough good sponsorships. I definitely understand just working harder in the off season and not bothering with this event. I think Fields was also more or less on that verge of whether he should play it or not. After Paris, after that loss to Altmaier in Bercy, which was quite surprising, he actually said that he's really exhausted with the season and that he's, wrapping it up. He didn't mean the NextGen finals, apparently, but he withdrew from Metz, and that's why I thought that maybe even he might pull out. Musetti last year said that he was deciding until the last possible moment whether he's actually going to play in Milan. He probably played more so because it was in Italy than because it was, an event that he really wanted to compete at. He didn't get out of groups, although we didn't really get the full info that it was because of these motivational things, because, he lost to Draper and Stricker. I mean, you can always lose to these guys indoors. There's no harm in that, absolutely. So Musetti, we didn't get the full info that it was because of these issues, but certainly I wasn't surprised that Musetti doesn't want to play it anymore. I mean, it would be his third consecutive appearance, and he just kind of feels like he has nothing to gain from this. And I think he's, more or less right. If this event is going to interfere with your off season, it better be important for you, whether it is financially or sort of establishing yourself, or maybe you just want to have fun at it. When I talked to Koboli a couple of weeks ago in Danderit, he was just like, I want to get there as soon as possible. It's such an exciting event. I want to be there right away, and that's also fine. I mean, that's also cool. Koboli was an alternate in 2021, so he had a bit of a glimpse, right? And more than a glimpse of how this event works. So I think that probably also tells you that it must be really fun for the players. And it's really fun for us. It's been a good time watching it. I actually have had some issues. Watching this week since it was just very busy. But all the things that I've seen, I've enjoyed. Anyway, there was something else. The Basecamp thing. I've heard this NFL Combine. I don't know, Ghosty, because I don't know what NFL Combine is. But when we had this NextGen preview with Miles and Anastasia, they also mentioned that. So I know it must be pretty similar. You're thinking of Arnaldi, Ghosty. German, you say that given the fact that Nardi was already eliminated playing the fifth set and injured, why did you think he didn't tank it? Money for winning the match, but also you have just, I guess, another motivation, just wanting to go out with a win, right? I mean, Nardi was probably quite disappointed with the way that after the 5-setter against Fields, which was really good, then he gets blitzed by Stricker. I think he probably feels as well that Koboli should be a weaker player than him indoors, and I think eventually he is. And for the most part, also this is the last match of the season for him, right? So if it's not a serious injury, I mean, why wouldn't you play? If it's not something that can get much worse, and the players know best whether it's an injury that can lead to something terrible for you, or whether it's just a slight strain that will go away after a day or two. So if it wasn't anything ultra serious, why not compete as hard as you can in the last match of the season, right? You can go all out, and the next appearance for you is probably going to be a challenger in Australia, I'm assuming, in Nardi's case, because of course he's going to be playing the Australian Open qualifying, so I'm assuming he's going to want to get a challenger in first there. So yeah, it will take him a month to play again. So yeah, I think it's absolutely fine for him, basically, to keep competing if he knew that it wasn't very serious. But yeah, Nardi had a bit of a thigh pain. You could also see on the replays when exactly it happened. It did bother him for a while, but then the fifth set, he managed to work it out. And what a pass as well, right? The first point of the fifth set tiebreak, one-handed, this flickish pass, really ridiculous stuff. Anyway, Stricker to try to stay in the set. He loses the first point, missing an inside-out forehand winner. Just winning a set, might seem like an easy task, but he loses the first one, and then it's suddenly we're already in tricky territory, right? We're already in a spot where he starts thinking about whether I'm gonna do it. Whereas, he wins the first set and then he like plays probably really freely until the end of the match, right? Because, topping the group or being second in the group doesn't seem like a big deal. Sometimes it is, like when you know that Novak Djokovic, for example, is waiting, right, on the other side or stuff like that. But in this case, I think it's just hard to tell whether it's better to play. Well, I would like to avoid Medjedovic if I were them, but you're also not sure that Medjedovic is going to top the group. So, at this stage, I don't think things like that come into the conversation at all. But anyway, it's 3 set points now as Stricker misses 3 consecutive forehands. Well, the third one was definitely caused by the depth of Fils' return, but the first 2 I would classify as unforced. So a really sloppy service game here from Dominic. Although the 2 set points are already saved. 2 set points are already saved with unreturned serves, and we still have 2 more to come because, of course, with the deciding point system, no ad scoring, as you might call it, we have actually 4 set points, not 3. If you go down low 40 in such in a game like this. Now the first serve doesn't come in. Oh wow! And what a forehand return from Fils. That was sick. I thought the kicker from Stricker was definitely really slow, but still had a lot of good spin on it. And Fils just blasts it inside out, and he takes the first set after 21 minutes, 4-2. It would be good for me if this match was like not overly long, because I gotta leave in an hour and a half. But let's pray that it's a good match, it's an entertaining affair, but it finishes just before the 110-minute mark, let's call it that. Stats of the first set. Is there anything exciting? Similar on unreturned serves, which certainly is good for Fils, because usually you would expect Stricker to be leading that stat, quite handily. Of the baseline, of course, Fils has won 10 points, Stricker just 5. Both guys pretty low on first serve in percentage, but it hasn't really mattered for Fils, who has won 67% of his second serve points. And also Fils, 132 kilometers an hour on his forehand. That's absolutely massive, just as an average speed of the stroke. It's surprising how much faster he's playing than Stricker. I'm going to turn off a light or something. That's going to be good. Alright guys, I'm back. Just got myself some water and I turned on the light. You can now see me in my full glory. Let there be light, yeah. I actually didn't know if it was gonna be there even, because I literally moved to this place today, so I haven't really gotten the hang of it just yet. But it's working. The sync is working as well. I don't think I even used the sync just before. So anyway, second set, Fils starting up and already getting some errors out of Stricker, who's trying to shadow, his backhand motion, get himself into the right swing. That's another cracked forehand from Fils, but he misses the backhand put away. Still, a really good start, and you can see that he's really ramping up the pace on that shot. Of course, much heavier than Stricker's, but I still didn't think that he was going to be hitting his forehand that much faster than Stricker. One thing, though, about these graphics about the stats of a set that had just finished at the NextGen finals is that I feel like they are very misleading in a lot of cases, because, well, this set was 6 games, right? And that's a bagel. If you take it to a normal scoring set, right? So I think usually I would like some bigger sample size on some things, especially the percentages on serve and etc. But of course, there's no real way of doing that in this format with the fast 4 sets. I feel like sometimes, especially if it's like 1-4, we get a very, very small glimpse of what the stats can actually mean. Anyway, Fields serve down the middle, pretty good angle on the forehand, but Stricker is there with a counter. That's the sort of shot that he wouldn't have made against Kopoli. He still has that tape or bandage or whatever you want to call it on his thigh, but he's actually moving pretty well right now. That's the kind of shot that he probably wouldn't really flinch to against Kopoli in the opening match of the group stage, which really set him in a, like, it really put him behind in terms of, the qualification scenarios. But then, of course, he got it right back with the 3-0 win over Nardi. And that's why he's in such a good position. Also, of course, Nardi beating Kopoli, but that's why he's in such a good position that he only needs to take a set here. But if Fields doesn't drop his guard in a second, it's going to be hard. I am still in Poland, Kosti. Yes. Yes, exactly. Deepest, darkest. I think we are basically at the end of November. At 4 p.m., it's probably going to be dark in most places in Europe, other than like Tenerife or whatever. Although we still have a challenger this week, actually outdoors in Spain, in Europe. But they're still playing. Actually, they're still playing the third set outdoors at 4 p.m. So, but it's Gran Canaria, right? So, so that's fine. I mean, Canary Islands are not really Europe, right? They're not sort of geographically, I guess they're not Europe, if you may. So I don't have to change my statement because of them. There's also another one in Maya, but that's indoors. So they're fine to play until the end of the night there, basically. Here outdoors, we would probably have to stop playing tennis at like 3 p.m. But that's also the time change, right? If we didn't have the daylight saving time, then it would have been different. Anyway, Stricker with a mega quick hold, just firing some huge serves, and we are at what set all. I think besides the first game of the match when he had 2 breakpoints, Stricker hasn't had any. After that, he needs to really start looking for something here because, as I said, I mean, it seems easy, right? You win a set, and especially in a best of 5 match in this sort of format, it seems very easy to win a set. I mean, few matches end in straights. But then again, if you just lose the first 2, then the pressure is going to be so high. There's a double fault from Fields to go love 15 down in the first game. So maybe there's a glimmer of hope already for Stricker and some sort of an opportunity to push Fields at least in this game. Did this serve clear the line? Yes, it did. So it's basically an even situation now for Fields as he has double faulted and then aced it right back. Only really moved the game forwards by 2 points. And of course, in this fast 4 format, the maximum amount of points you can play in a game is 7. It's not unlimited like in the regular scoring. Yeah, I don't like how Stricker is just really passive on some of these forehands, just looping them in. Maybe he is sort of expecting this match to go like the one against Nardi, where it's like just easy enough to pressure the forehand. To pressure the backhand, because of course for Fields that's the weaker shot. In fact, some would say that it might be the issue that stops him from winning slams in the future. I think we're still really early on that. But against Nardi, they were actually like sort of even in the backhand exchanges. Stricker just completely pummeled the Nardi backhand, but it looks like looping in these forehands to the Fizz backhand is not doing the same amount of damage. And there's been numerous rallies in this match where like Stricker is actually fairly passive playing at that side, and then Fizz just takes over. I don't know. That's not something that you usually can criticize Stricker for, right? I mean, usually we just want him to have at least a bit of like shot selection and consideration before he slams the ball. But here he's not really slamming the ball too much. Anyway, he wins this point as Fizz drop shots and then has a pretty easy pass to hit. It was definitely on his racket, but it falls out. But a good serve gets him to 40-30. And again, just if the guys are getting the same amount of free points on serve, that is generally advantage Fizz in this matchup for sure. Gonna have to win the next one on the second serve though. I think if we get a deciding point, he's probably gonna choose the deuce side again, since he just had a couple of really good serves on it. Although actually he had an ace on the outside as well here. And yeah, that's another error from Stricker. I mean, nothing crazy, but you know, you kind of just have to give yourself a chance, or more accurately, give the opponent a chance. Anyway, 4-2, 2-1, Fizz. Really tough times for Stricker soon if he can't find anything. Yeah, Australia is European, and also Israel is European. Well, Kazakhstan has some parts in Europe, according to most according to geography, let's say. Anyway, yeah, also Armenia, right? Azerbaijan, Georgia, according to UEFA, they're Europe. She was kind of cute. I don't know who. Maybe there was someone in the crowd. This is very unrelated, but you just made me think of the potential WTA NextGen finals, right? How cool would that be? It would be better than the WTA Elite Trophy. I think a more interesting event. Although probably this year, thanks to Qin Zheng, it actually got quite a lot of headlines. Who would be in the WTA NextGen finals? I now wonder. Coco Gauff, well, she wouldn't play it. But then you have Noskova, Andreeva, Kruger, Clara Tauson, Diana Schneider, Defruch Virtovas, Sarah Bailek. Yeah, I think that sounds like a really good event. Oh, actually, I failed to include the players who are 21. Sorry. So you've got Gauff, wouldn't play it. Zheng, maybe before the Elite Trophy would. Fernandez, Kostiuk, Noskova, Andreeva, Avanesian, Osorio, Kruger, Tausen. Yeah, that sounds like a really good one. But it doesn't seem like they're planning that yet. Yeah, Raducanu, of course, would count, but I don't think she would have made it on her ranking this year. Yeah. I think her ranking this year just wouldn't be enough. Of course, that can very easily change next year if she just has a solid, healthy season. Where is she in the rankings, by the way, actually? 294. Well, I guess she did stop playing at a very early part of the season this time. Yeah, 5-5 record this year. I forgot it was that bad. I guess maybe because of that Indian Wells round 4. And also a decent match against Coco in Australia. A crouch forehand from Dominic Stricker kind of takes us to some WTA players like Kerber or Radwanska, but he loses the point. There's just no agility today in him. I mean, that's not really today, right? But this backhand crosscourt from Fizz absolutely should have been chased down. He smashes the ball here, though, to go up 40-30. So still holding on. Such an important set for him. He wins it, he's in the semifinals. He doesn't, he's in big, big trouble. Ooh, really bold call to take this backhand drive volley. Especially for a lefty, I don't think we really see this shot all that much. And it's out. So we are at deuce. I mean, I would have just played a normal volley, you know, but fair enough. Didn't want to give Fils any chance, and actually he misses it by just a little bit. And the serve is also out, so it's a second serve now. Last time it was a deciding point on Stricker's serve. We all remember the Fils forehand return. Now Stricker has learned the lesson. He serves to the backhand. I guess maybe that's why he also chose the deuce side here. Just wanted to go for, you know, a big serve first, and then if it doesn't work out, then have the nice kicker down the tee to Fils' backhand. And this time it's actually Fils who supplies him with a backhand error in the rally already, not of the return. And we are back to 2-all, but that was really dangerous times for the Swiss. I think Stricker and Koboli, by the way, are the only two players in the field this year who will not be eligible next year. So, you know, there's still potential for guys like Fils, for Medjedovic, for Mikkelsen, for Van Asch, Schelbach, and Nardi to play this next year. I don't know how many of them will. Nardi probably will, I would assume. Although, well, I'm pretty sure he's going to break the top 100, but I don't know if he's going to stay in it, I suppose. Wow, forehand quality, by the way, we have from Insights, and Fils is at 9.3, whereas Stricker is at 5.5. I don't know if to be impressed with Fils' score, because it's obviously sky high, but also Stricker's 5.5. I mean, the guy has one of the best forehands in the game, in theory, so yeah, that's a little subpar for sure. But as I said, he's like just sort of looping it into the Fils backhand a lot, whereas Fils is actually crushing his. And that's a great serve from Fils as well to go for love up. What was I talking about? That a few of that all of these guys can essentially, other than Stricker and Koboli, can still be back next year. Fils, I don't think will, because assuming he improves his ranking, he might arrive at the similar sort of stage as Musetti and Shelton this year. But other guys, you know, probably they won't rise to that level. So it's actually kind of likely to see them also next year, or at least some of them also next year. I think most of the time, at least one NextGen finals contestant was also finding a way to the next edition, probably besides the 2021 tournament, right? Because it wasn't held in 2020, so it would be kind of hard to do that unless there was someone who was like really, really young in 2020, in 2019 and still got in. But I don't think that was actually the case. Well, Sinner and Ojar Yassin, they could have played in 2021, so no, it could have been kept up. But of course, they were by that point already like very established, and they decided not to. Sinner not to defend his title, I suppose, and Felix not to play it. Anyway, 4-2, 3-2. Now Stricker in that same position as in the last set, so needs to serve to stay in the set. And like 20 minutes ago, he didn't manage to do it. Flavio Cobolli sitting down somewhere at the venue and watching this, you know, biting his nails and screaming at the top of his. That's what he's doing. That's what I heard. The ATP is just going to wait until Djokovic is retired and irrelevant, then go back to business as usual, like some cooperation and wait him out. Ooh. Wait him out in terms of what? I don't even know. Anyway, I much prefer Svia's crushing it style. Well, it's Stricker whose style is usually crushing it, right? But yeah, Fuse is actually really good physically compared to most of these guys. I think he's had his issues with that as well. For example, you might go back to last year when he played Thomas Martin Echeverry in Tallahassee. Yeah, I think he got over it relatively quickly compared to the other youngsters that you mentioned. Yes, I don't know if I actually can find any other real examples other than that one. Could have been maybe it wasn't Tallahassee, maybe it was one of the other green clay challengers in the States, but it was definitely a green clay challenger, April 2022. He played Echeverry, could have been like first or second round of the main draw. He outplays him for a set, and then he's done. Basically, the cramps come and he's done. And it was also pretty early in the match, right? But I guess for that version of Fils, it was still a huge affair, and yeah, I think the pressure plus the sort of physical effort that it takes to beat Thomas Martin Echeverry got to him. But yeah, other than that, I don't really remember any other major instances of Fils losing something because of cramps or at the sort of cramps that sort of only can be explained with your age, because it's fine to cramp after 5 hours, right? There's no, or well, 5 hours is of course too much. I mean, it's fine to cramp after like 3 hours or something like that. That's absolutely normal. So, but yeah, this year I don't think it really happened, right? I can't remember any of these matches where it would happen to him. Oh, yeah, Stricker's still not out of the woods here, still not able to produce a clean hold to get to the tiebreak. He had a forehand volley here, but it was pretty tough, and that drop is not going to make it over the net. Feels so quick to cover that forehand corner there, and it's 30-all. Close call, but it doesn't really matter. The serve is out. And what's going to happen here? Ooh, that's one that Fils will regret. This time he doesn't handle the kicker to the backhand, and I guess that's what Stricker has been doing recently on the deuce side. Second serve is just a kick to the backhand, and Fils is struggling with it. But when he played it on the outside, set point down, in the first set, he just got crushed by the forehand return. So maybe we're also gonna see him in the case of a potential deciding point. Maybe we're also gonna see him choose deuce side again, which is rare for a lefty. But I guess against Fils, he just feels like that serve is working much better. But it won't get to that. It's a tiebreak. He does clean it up this time. Good body serve. On the second serve, he went at Fils, and Arthur couldn't get out of the way. So, yes, tiebreak. Stricker is 7 points away from the semifinals, one could say. Is he playing for nothing? Well, 32.5k, right? And then also you've got just the confidence that he can get from that win. Maybe he'll play Stricker again. And also topping the group is also what he's playing for. Once again, we had some issues with people of the crowd, but well, there's so little crowd, and we still have issues with people walking behind the players because the stewards apparently let them in, at the wrong times. But we have started the tie breaks the tiebreak already. Think the serve was a let. So it's going to be Fils again. And he again has to wait for someone, it seems. They're not showing them to us, but yeah. Anyway. Fils would make an excellent top. I don't know what we mean by that, but I will, just to ignore it. That's perfectly fine. I think choosing to ignore it is probably the right call. My stream seems to be malfunctioning a little bit at the moment. Maybe I'll try to get another one to see the next point, which I already know how it ended actually, but yeah, okay, I got another one for the time being. Fils, of course, Fils the one that won the first point of the tiebreak with an ace, and now it's Stricker who makes a double fault. No, it's not a double fault. He landed this. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. He's actually at 1-0, it seems. And this was a pretty crazy serve down the tee as well. Lots of good spin. I would call it the JJ Wolf slider down the tee, but actually it's a lefty serve, right? So it's all reversed. But anyway, no, it's actually Stricker 2-1. I thought it was a double fault, but turns out it was just a really, really deep serve, which understandably Fils couldn't handle. And now we finally have Stricker stepping up. He also wins the next point, runs to the net and gets this really good volley, I think, especially considering where he was in terms of his court position, because he found himself definitely behind the service box. It was also below the net. So yeah, really good touch on this one. And he gets the first mini break in this tiebreak, and now he finds himself just 4 points away from making the semifinals. Two out of two at the net Fils, 5 out of 8 Stricker, but at that point he did take. Fils tries to go for that same serve down the tee again, but this time he misses it just by a little bit. Goes at the body of Stricker, +1 backhand sets him up well for the forehand, but Stricker is now, he's getting the balls back. And after a net court, he's actually in a great position to win the next point, to win the point as well. And yeah, it's 2 mini breaks, Dominic Stricker. So this is the moment where Stricker can seriously think of making the semis now. Maybe a little lucky there with the Fils net court. That just really helped him to regain control over the point. But he did catch a few good balls there. So I don't really know what Fils is talking about with Layani here. Well, wasn't anything in that previous point anyway. So we will just choose to ignore it, I think. And that's a big serve from Stricker as well. So at the change of ends, 5-1 up. And just 2 more points to get him into the semifinals. Fils does not look pleased, which again shows you that he's fighting for it despite being qualified for the semis. But it looks like this little spurt from Stricker. I mean, especially the volley that he took the first mini break with, and also some decent defense that he earned the second with. Looks like this might actually take him to the final 4. And honestly, I'm sorry, Flavio, but the tournament is better off with Fizz and Stricker, right? I don't know who's first, who's second in the group. Like, I don't think it really matters all that much, but I think the tournament is better off with both of these guys in the semis. They were the pre-tournament favorites, and they were there for a reason, even if Stricker started with a disappointing performance and also wasn't like fully healthy. Now he seems to be doing better with that thigh, and yeah, he's just playing much better too. 6-1, 5 set points. He approaches to the Fizz backhand, and Artur cannot find the pass. So 5 points to get into the final four, 5 points to make the semifinals for Dominic Stricker. I think it's a lead. So, oh no, sorry, it's not a lead, actually. Yeah, Stricker tried to go for this huge forehand return, just misses it, but it's still 4 set points left. This is a lead. Oh yeah. Now we get a repeated first serve from Fizz. And that's an ace down the tee as well, so he has saved 2 by now, but there's 3 more to come. I think we more or less know what sort of pace this match is on right now. I'm gonna be in trouble if it goes to the 5th, and I might have to leave prematurely, but if it's just 4 sets, we're definitely gonna be good. Anyway, Dominic Stricker, easy serve +1 forehand. He's in the semis. And now they're only playing for who gets to top the group, and also, of course, for $32.5 thousand, which is no joke. I mean, that could really set you up well in Poland, especially. It's like, 130,000 PLN, more or less. You wouldn't buy an apartment for that, but you could buy a very good car for that. In terms of, let's say, apartment renting, you could probably rent out this particular apartment for about, more or less, let's say, for about 5 years for the amount of money that the guys are playing for. So, it is a pretty big stake. Absolutely. 20 baht cars. Actually, I don't think there are cars that are this cheap anymore. The car prices went up so much. I was actually kind of fortunate to get my car for about 13,000 PLN, I think, and it's 2008 Opel Astra, and it's actually working really well. I can't complain about it for now. I think it's especially good for long trips, which is what I bought it for. I don't really drive around the town. But yeah, even a car like that, which is already 15 years old, let's say right now it's up to 15,000. So it's only about 8. Yeah, that must have been a while ago. Right now you can probably just buy I don't know, like something that you can only really destroy and use the parts of for another thing. I don't think for 500, 600 euros you can buy something that actually is capable of being driven at the moment. That's a very weird sentence, by the way. Capable of being driven, mixing up the active and passive. But anyway. Koboli right now. Yeah, absolutely. Koboli is out, and well, I guess he has himself to blame because, well, he lost against Nardi today. He lost that tiebreak. Then again, Nardi played a very nice tiebreak. If you told me before the end of the event that before the start of the event, of course, that Koboli was going to be so close to making the semis, I would be surprised for sure. So all in all, I don't think he can be that disappointed, but certainly, given how it played out, yes, he was really close to making it, and he just didn't manage to. I think even if he beat Nardi, he wasn't certain that he was going to get in. It would still depend on like the balance of sets here, but yeah, now we actually know that it's Stricker and Fizz. Fizz will never become a big player with this mentality and this arrogance. That's kind of surprising to me, to be honest with you. I don't really think that he's arrogant. Most peers, they only have nice words to say about him. Might be a little like cocky in terms of his on-court behavior, but I don't think it's really directed at the opponent ever. And yeah, sometimes arrogance is actually good for a tennis. I guess I'm back. And Runevo's belief in himself is actually a big plus for me. And yeah, you kind of have to be crazy to reach word number 1 or believe you can reach word number 1, etc. Of course, Rune hasn't done that yet. I don't know if he'll ever do it. Maybe not, given that he's in the same sort of era as Alcaraz and Sinner. But, be one of the best players in the world. Anyway. Hey, Jake, the Europeans even need money. You have trains and Italian grandmas and stiff upper lips. I don't really have an Italian grandma, but I do have a train. Although, well, I don't have a train. I don't possess a train. Although, yeah, there is a great train system in Poland. However, since I stopped being a student and these privileges I actually lost only a month ago, it's actually been quite expensive for me to travel via trains. Today, because I moved back to Gdańsk again. Well, actually Gdynia, but it's like this complex, tri-city, they call it, Gdańsk, Gdynia, and Sopot. And there's this fast train here, right, between the 3 cities, and actually it extends even beyond Gdańsk and Gdynia. And anyway, I was checking up the tickets today because I'm going to be, well, I'm not going to be commuting anywhere every day. I don't work, I work remotely. But mostly what I'm trying to say is that today I was checking up the prices, and actually it's kind of expensive. The price of a monthly ticket, I don't feel like spending it, but I kind of have to. I think in most months I would spend more or less the same on normal tickets, but that will also give me like the freedom and sort of ability to maybe change things up on the route or go someplace else, not only one route every single time. So yeah, but without the student discount, I've actually found them to be pretty expensive. Kobori was in the tougher group too. Yes, in a way, because you had the 2 pre-tournament favorites, but at the same time, in the other group, you had such an even, wild, chaotic mess, right? Like, if you put Koboli into the second group, do you think he qualifies? I don't. So I think maybe he actually got the easier group for himself, like, in terms of the fact that he got Stricker, who was kind of struggling, and I don't know if he qualifies in the second group, like with guys like Medjedovic, Vanash, Shelbach even, who's been performing so well, and maybe Mikkelsen finally plays plays more than a few games that really show what he's capable of. I don't know, but yeah, I don't feel like the groups are that different, only that, in this group you have these 2 super strong contenders, but the other 2 is fairly, well, not weak, but, much weaker, whereas the other was just so even. But I think if Kobori got there, he probably, in that second group, he probably would have been the worst player there. But yeah, still, he did okay. He did well. I mean, I was mostly saying privilege about the student discount, the student privileges, not the public transport. Yeah, Abdullah might absolutely qualify. He is in the same position as as Stricker, I think, right? More or less the same position. I mean, the set balances will be different because Abdullah is actually at 4-4-4, right? Vanash is also at 4-4. Mikkelsen is at 3-6, and Medjedovic is at 6-3. So it's a bit different to the first group, but it's a similar scenario. Although he's actually playing first against Medjedovic, so that there's going to be some differences there, depending on the score of that match. Actually, I think even a win Yeah, even a loss to Medjedovic doesn't have to eliminate him. It actually only eliminates him if Van Asch beats Mikkelsen then. So it's yeah, maybe he still has a shot. Lots will of course depend on whether he can actually beat Medjedovic. But then even if he beats Medjedovic, he might still have to dodge a win of Van Asch. So yeah, it's a mess. We'll know a lot more after the first match, obviously. I wonder if there's a situation where like he beats Medjedovic, let's say in 3 or 4 sets, and then he qualifies anyway. But I'm not sure that's actually the case. Yeah, I guess he actually won't be certain of anything. Well, actually, yes. So if he beats Medjedovic in 3 or 4 sets, Shellbach has qualified. In order to qualify right away, not have to look at Van Asch Mikkelsen, he needs to win in 3 or 4 sets. If he wins in 5, then he would need to dodge a Van Asch win in 3, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, that's precisely it. He basically Shellbach has to win in 3 or 4 to have that how imaginative, like Dustin Brown, who's like a Shellbach-ish player, crafty lefty, if you want to call it, but not the way Adrian Vanarino is a crafty lefty, I suppose. A drop shot lob. For sure, I would like to play second if I had the chance to to choose, but maybe then again it can also like lead to some pressure on you, right? If they play first, Fils Stricker, I mean Stricker is just desperate to win because that doesn't even qualify him, I guess. But at least to put yourself. No, but that actually is still an argument for going second because you want to know if you have to win 3-0 or if you have to win like 3-1. If you're playing first, you might be okay with losing a set and then you're actually turning out. Then it might actually turn out that it's not enough. That would be awful. Ivanash Caravan, who plays better, Fils or Stricker? I mean, Fils started very well, but I think by now we are basically on even grounds. Both guys are only fighting for who tops the group first. Who tops the group now? Who is going to finish the group at the top? There's also the money stakes, of course, and also the fact that they might meet each other in the final. Maybe some confidence relating from that. But yeah, after that good start from Fils, I think right now it's just very even. Just one break so far as well, which was the last game of the opening set, and also like it got to it a bit out of nowhere with that cracked Fils forehand return. So yeah, it's tough to say who's been better here, who is better at the moment, at least. It's still a very serve-oriented match, and yeah, might be kind of random from here. Yeah, that's a bit of a missed opportunity for Fils for sure, and now it's fairly all, and that momentum, from the third set, it definitely feels like it's with Stricker now. Fields kind of has to dodge it here. He is at 30 all, and given that there's that momentum shift and a welcome change in the dynamics of the match for Stricker, these next few points might be quite important. But a serve like this is always going to help you, and Fields does well to delay the stroke a little bit, to allow himself the chance to see where Stricker will go. Sorry if there's some background noise, but I'm trying to locate my mouse, which I just did, in fact. 152 kilometers an hour on this Fields winner, which is cool, but at the same time, his average was 130, so he's kind of cracking them all like this, which is even cooler, I suppose. Sorry for the sound. Windows acknowledging my mouse. And that's a really cool point as well from Fields. Just has Stricker flying, all over the court to try to get yet another Fields forehand. But eventually he finds, he takes it a little earlier, not even the full stroke, actually a bit of a half volley-ish maybe one. But it's perfect. I mean, he was just having Stricker run from corner to corner here, all the time staying on his forehand and just very confidently wins the point. I guess this is, precisely the sort of rally that Fields wants to play in any match, really, but maybe especially against Stricker, whose movement is not as dynamic, I guess, as most players. Although he is maybe a little bit faster than people give him credit for. Especially faster, I think. He doesn't really have issues with speed, I think. Maybe some direction changes or like general clunkiness when he actually gets to the ball, but I don't think he actually has speed issues. Something he definitely is not struggling with at the moment is his serve. Finds another really good angle, so 30 love. And these games on Stricker's serve in this set have been like really running away from Fields pretty quickly. Although maybe we'll have a change now that Stricker misses this +1 backhand. Chose a pretty dangerous shot, but I guess that's okay with a 30 love lead. We'll see if he gets in trouble. Really good return from Fields, and he wins the point as well. What the hell was that? There's a block return from Fields and then a backhand cross court from Stricker that was actually really deep. And then Fields wins this point with a forehand squash shot. It's actually kind of rare, I think, that when you win to the point with like two shots which are chopped literally. One of them the return and the other one a pass. So actually 30 all now, and maybe out of nowhere we might get some chances for the Frenchman now. Well, we definitely can, but will he clinch the point? Because he gets himself into a great position, but Stricker was sort of back, but then doesn't get the contact point on his next backhand right. Yeah, this is probably one of the most interesting games of the match, at least the last few points. After that forehand squash shot, Stricker congratulated Fields, instantly, and absolutely there was a need for that. Let's say that, but then Stricker is also saving the first break point with a big serve down the tee and a +1 forehand winner. So deciding point. Stricker this time goes for the classic lefty direction. Outside, will it be out wide or will it be down the tee? Yes, he does go for that secret weapon of lefties, and actually doesn't make the +1 forehand. That's rough. I think Fields' return, it was a little reactive and actually didn't while it was very short, it was actually short enough to give Stricker a little bit of trouble, and he tried to play it like quite safe, simply wrong footing Fields, but as we see on the close call, he missed it by not much. But yeah, such a crucial shot here, and Fuse takes the break. He's gonna serve for the set in just a little while. In just a moment, he is going to serve for it. I mean, tennis bettors, guys. Someone on my Twitter commented, Molly, that she hopes to find a rerun of the Nardi match. She read that he was heroic and dearly hopes that his injury is not horrible. That's a nice comment, of course. And then we've got this guy, Daily Sports Cup, who comes in and says, I hope his injury causes a heart attack. Jesus Christ, guys. Come on. But yeah, someone also on Twitter asked me if sort of maybe questioned that if Stricker is already in the semis, and if you just want confirmation of that, then of course if Fuse beats Stricker in 4, then Dominic would be at 5-6 in terms of set record, right? Because before this match he was at 4-3, and then if he loses this 3-1, he would be at 5-6. Whereas Koboli is currently at 5-7. So clearly 5 out of 11 is a higher percentage of sets won than 5 out of 12. And of course, Nardi doesn't really count because he's currently at 5-8, I believe. Is that right? Yeah, I think he's at 5-8. So we actually would have a very clear sort of scenario, right? Where if Fizz wins this in 4, where Stricker would be on 5-6 in terms of set balance, Koboli would be at 5-7, and Nardi would be at 5-8. So yeah, that's actually precisely what happened. And if Stricker loses this in 4, indeed, of course, he is in the semis, as I said when he won the set. They are already both qualified. Fizz rushes this forehand a little bit, but he will still have 3 more set points to try to clinch it and go to 1-up. Yeah, that return from Stricker is not going to do any damage. If they really speed things up, maybe I would also be able to see the 5th set, but yeah, we'll see how quick the guys play. In terms of the Stricker injury, Michal, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's really affecting him today. Certainly not the way it was affecting him against Koboli. For some reason, he has been okay since the Nardi match yesterday. Yes, we were talking about that athleticism of his earlier on the base camp tests, and it's pretty crazy how he beat them in every single thing, right? I mean, I guess let's say 3 tests were really about speed, but also the jumping, right? But, with the way he sort of flies from forehand to forehand a lot of the time, maybe that makes sense. Gene, the match has been fine. We had that situation, right, going into it where Stricker needs to win a set to get to the semis. So by now they're both qualified. I think at first it was really just Fizz crushing all the forehands. But after Stricker won the second set, and he did that with some spectacular shots like the volley to go 3-1 up in the tiebreaker, he was actually the one with all the momentum, but then didn't really capitalize on that and just lost the next game at 2-all out of nowhere. So lost his serve at 2-all kind of out of nowhere. So yeah, it's been quite even. I think as a whole, Fizz definitely just keeping a more steady level. He hasn't really failed much, He's just playing solid stuff, but still open, of course, for Fils to for Stricker to get back into it. But yeah, it's just for topping the group right now. It's not for qualification anymore. Yeah, it would be fun to get more guys in this base camp competition. Of course, Shane Medjedovic couldn't be there, but that's fine. Of course, he was in the Davis Cup finals, so that's probably why he missed it. But yeah, it would be fine to see them. I don't know if we actually learned all that much, but the video itself was entertaining. For the most part, it was expectable results. Second week at the Slam for Fils, yeah, absolutely. Why not next year? I think Australia probably doesn't suit him all that much, but the French, yeah, sure. US, why not? Wimbledon, we'll see, but I think he might, with some time, he also might end up being better on grass than people think. Although it would require him to maybe adjust his forehand a little bit for these quicker courts. So like US Open, Roland Garros, I feel like that's always going to be a good shot for Fils. Perhaps especially Paris, right? Tony Montana on our screen. I don't know. Does anyone have a scar on their face? That's a great pickup from Stricker. It actually lands. I mean, somewhat accidental, but still a decent reaction. And let's see if the guys just keep going. No, Fils still hasn't lost his serve, right? I think by now he's had to save 4 or 5 breakpoints. Let me check that actually pretty quickly. Yes, Gene, yes. Fils and Stricker are both in the semis. Stricker just needed a set, whereas Fils was already qualified when Nardi lost a set. The only way Fils wouldn't qualify was Nardi to win 3-0 and also Stricker to win 3-0 or something like that. So Fils actually entered this match already knowing he's qualified, whereas Stricker needed a set, and yes, by now he's qualified. If he loses this match, he's gonna get through on set record between him, Nardi, and Koboli. He will have the best percentage of sets won. Whereas if he wins the match, he's just gonna, of course, have more wins than them, but also top the group because he will have to win, Fils will have to win. But if we get a tie of 2 players, then we just have the first tiebreaker is the head-to-head. Yes, actually, Fils has only saved 2 breakpoints. So were they both in the first set? Yeah, actually. I thought he had some in the 4th set, but I guess it was just a 30-all or something like that. But yeah, Fils just two breakpoints so far that he had to save, and both of them in the first game of the match. So that's not great for Stricker. And both guys really dominant on first serve as well. Fils 82%, Stricker 80%. Stricker struggling a little bit more to win second serve points, which given the overall edge of the ground, it's not too surprising. But maybe he'll have some opportunities here now. Again, it's 30-all on Fils' serve. I think we've had a situation like this in the first set as well. And I actually thought that maybe Stricker had some breakpoints, but apparently not. Apparently he just had the 2 in the opening game. Already 3 unforced errors in the 4th set from Fils, 0 from Stricker, and who knows, maybe he'll capitalize on that. Maybe he'll have a shot at the Frenchman's serve now. Second serve as well, so Stricker probably already lining up for a bigger return. Gets it at the body. Yeah, it's a pretty decent backhand return, but nothing crazy. Fils is not being pushed around. It's actually Stricker who's on the move, and he tries to go for a big forehand counter down the line, just misses it. That's the sort of shot that's really a bit of a trademark of Stricker, when he's pushed wide to that forehand corner, and of course, not maybe the best mover, maybe not the best athlete on tour. So he often cheats it by just slamming it. And, he's so talented, it works out a lot of the time. But not this time. Breakpoint, deciding point, or game? Looks like breakpoint. That's nice. That's really nice from Stricker. I think the approach from Fils a little undercooked, just a little unprepared. He goes to the net, plays a decent first volley, but then Stricker has an open line and manages to clinch it really well. That banana lefty forehand. Great reaction from Fils as well. Appreciating the shot and deciding point Stricker, which on Fils' serve. So actually that means that we have the third breakpoint of the match, first since the opening game on Fils' serve. So, well, of course, first for Stricker. I mean, third breakpoint of the match for Stricker, not overall. Another second serve to his backhand. Stricker looping this forehand return, this forehand back in, and he breaks. Fils had a nice first backhand cross-court, really aggressive, but then didn't follow it up. He throws the next one out. It's a close call, I guess. So it wasn't that far off, but it was still long. And now that's the first break of the match for Stricker. Do you think Fils will become a crowd favorite on the tour? I actually think so, yeah. I remember saying that a long while ago, that kind of Fils has the overall package for me, because you've got, first of all, an exciting play style, but also a good on-court personality. And if we're looking at people who could be like the next, superstars, then you have, Shelton, of course. I mean, game plus personality. And I think with Fils, you also have great game plus personality. You've got Alcaraz, Rune, and Sinner, obviously. Sinner maybe in the personality department, he's not as interesting, I guess, right? But then again, of course, he's a nice guy. And I think he could, if you're good enough, you're going to get that sort of superstar persona anyway, right? So I don't think it really matters all that much that Sinner's personality might be just a little more, closed down, a little bit more, like nothing really wild or crazy about it. I know what you mean about Shelton pissing people off. Someone in the chat earlier was saying about Fils that he's arrogant and that's why he's not going to be a top player. So, it could work both ways. Obviously, Rune pisses a lot of people off, but I think it's still a lot better to have that sort of deal. It makes people talk about you, right? Like, regardless if it's in a good way or not, it still makes people talk about you. You're not just forgettable. I don't want to bring this example up, but I kind of have to now. Like, for example, Casper Ruud, right? Like, his personality is just a nice guy, which is fine. But I think it's really hard to be a global superstar with it. Of course, if you provide results that are good enough, yes, absolutely, that's possible. Has he provided them? I mean, in a way, definitely for a while he had been doing that. But yeah, Fils, I think guys like Fils, Shelton, they don't really need results like Ruud 3 Grand Slam finals, for example, to be way more exciting to fans, because they have that combo, of both game and personality being very exciting. So, that's more or less what I think about it. And I think Fils has the full package to be if he's gonna be good enough, like if he's winning a slam, if he's getting to the top 5, then I think he has the full package in terms of actually becoming like a star of the game, a loved star of the game. Fils is quoted as saying he identifies with Tsonga's playing style. I think there are some major differences, but that was always the comparison that everyone made. Everyone. I don't know. When we first started sort of talking about Fils, sometimes it happens that I talk about the young prospect on Twitter, and people are like, "Who would you compare him to?" I generally don't like these sort of like questions, divagations, or whatever, because like most of the time it's pretty hard to find someone, and it's probably better to think of someone as like an individual player rather than the next someone. But Tsonga was like a natural comparison with Fields because of their forehands, because of their athleticism as well. Obviously, a very different game as it turns out, because Fields has that super heavy topspin forehand. Tsonga was like more about just smashing it, going to the net. Serve as well, of course, for Fields still has to develop to that sort of Tsonga level. So I think it is a different game, but it's a natural comparison, so I don't really mind it. Just like, Alcaraz was compared to Nadal at first, and that was really only the nationality, right? Whereas with Tsonga and Fields, you have some common points at least. Yeah, that Dominic Stricker, by the way, in the meantime, loses a deciding point with a +1 forehand that sprays wide. Should never have been even that close to the line. I don't think Fields was going to make it. So, yeah, we have a break back. That's definitely quite sloppy from Dom to just lose it right away. Fields' performance in Paris was awful. I don't think Fields makes it to the top. I mean, it's better not to judge by one match, I think he is one of these guys who have basically unlimited potential, but then again, if you sort of try to compare him to Tsonga or let's say even Auger-Aliassime, who have sort of been held back by their backhands, maybe that's the case. There's so much time to develop. Maybe on a quicker court, he might have issues performing that, executing that very heavy forehand topspin. I don't know. I think these are things that we are still sort of learning about him, and he's also learning about himself. But yeah, I don't think we can really just say he's not going to be a top player. In Paris, he also said that he was very exhausted with the season, and yeah, obviously that was a very disappointing showing against Daniel Altmaier. I'm not disagreeing with that. Surely not. Not ADF. No. That's Shelton. Yeah, he's lost to Altmaier. That was Shelton Davidovich Fokina, free setter. Yeah, Paris round 1. That was also quite disappointing. But of course, after Tokyo and Shanghai, for Shelton, that was totally okay, right? Fields also had a nice showing in Antwerp just before Paris, but it wasn't quite as amazing as maybe Shelton's Shanghai quarterfinal and the title in Tokyo, right? I mean, Fields is not fully set in the top 50, right? I mean, he is sort of based on these two back-to-back semifinals in February and then the 250 in Lyon, right? So it's not like he is guaranteed to go up in the rankings next year, but basically we're sort of expecting him to, regardless of how his ranking situation looks. But of course, many things can go wrong. Yeah, Stricker worked, let's say, for 3.5 sets. Stricker was working towards that break, and when he got it, he kind of wasted it, So that's not ideal for him, and if he loses that in 4, he kind of has himself to blame. Of course, there's no telling what might happen in the 5th set, but yeah, now Stricker is kind of giving Fields points for free. I mean, maybe this was another opportunity to pounce 15-all. Fields doesn't get too much on the next 2 serves, but and also another missed return. So yeah, didn't have to work for that. Didn't have to work that much for this game, I gotta say. And we are back at 2-all. So Fields has totally made that break evaporate now. He has consolidated and finds himself just 2 games away from the match now. Ooh, and that's an electric start as well. Big backhand return at Stricker, who had to move out of the way pretty quickly. Has to get the ball a little bit higher, and then Fields cranks up on the backhand, actually, cross-court. One of the best backhands he's hit all match. I mean, if not all tournament, really. But then we have one of the best backhands of the match from Stricker as well. He responds with exactly the same, a backhand cross-court winner. Of course, the way the rally played out was a little different with him serving, but also a similar type of point, like on the fifth shot, Fils ended it on the third, I guess. But still pretty similar. But now Fils is playing with a lot of energy suddenly. Again, deep at Stricker with the backhand and then follows it up to the net. Takes the point quite easily, so 15-30 now, and this is really getting troublesome for Stricker. But now the wrong footing plus one forehand that he missed on the deciding point in the third set, now it actually clicks. Now it's when the shot looks, oh yeah, that's that's smart. Whereas, of course, when it didn't go in, we were like, did you have to do that? Sometimes the outcome also makes us think about the intentions in a different way, which, you know, is a bit of a logical fallacy. I don't deny that. And now 2 virtual match points, you might call them. Arthur Fils with 2 breakpoints. This will be a pretty rough set for Stricker if he loses it from 2-0 up, especially as this was his first break of the entire match, right? But of course, he's qualified anyway. As I said, I don't know if it matters who's going to top the group, but it would be nice for him to win this match against someone who, well, he very well might meet in the final. But, well, he saves the first breakpoints, the first breakpoint, of course. Approaches to the Fils backhand, and Arthur cannot produce a clean pass. What will he choose on the deciding point? I mean, it's pretty clear, right? Or is he gonna mix it up? Yeah, it is the usual outside for a lefty. Goes out wide, but misses it. So second serve, we would assume that he's gonna try to play it pretty deep to the Arthur backhand. Indeed, yes. Ooh, and Fils cannot make another pass, this time of the forehand side. Throws the racket at the ground, so it's actually Stricker surviving this 3-2, and it's now Fils who's gonna have to serve to stay in the set. Still very open who's gonna win it, but we know by now that the pace is not exactly that rapid, so that fifth set might be tough for me, given I have to leave in like 20 minutes. What's keeping Lehečka from being more in the conversation? He's top 40. Why can't he get more press? That's a bit of that's a bit true that he's like not getting too much press, but I also think since the beginning of the season there wasn't much to be excited about. And as someone said, who was it? Jean maybe? Yeah, I mean he's just so erratic and goes from a ridiculous match to something horrific. Blew a few leads as well this year, which, you know, some of them were quite important. What else can you say? I mean, if his end of the season was as good as the beginning of it, then maybe he would get more hype. But it wasn't. And I actually think, and we chatted about this on a previous stream as well, but definitely I would say that Tomáš Mahač is actually the number one Czech right now in terms of, just the sheer playing level. Not in terms of the rankings, of course, at least not yet. But maybe after the Australian Open, who knows? I mean, Lehečka is defending quarterfinal, right? If we subtract the quarterfinal points from Lehečka, which would be 360, then he still wouldn't be around Mahač, but, you know, it would be much closer. I don't know. Let's see how next year goes for Lehečka, but I definitely want to see some progress. Like, I think if he stays around 30 in the rankings, it won't be a good sign. If he starts getting a bit stale from here, I would say it's not great. And will he? I don't know. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I actually thought he might fight for like a top 20 debut this year. has the game totally. But if he just keeps sort of switching between peak mode to trash mode all the time, then it might be tough to get to that sort of ranking, right? That's a nice rally here. Both guys using good angles. Eventually, it's Fields coming out on top. Defends himself. Stricker tries to play this drop shot while falling backwards, and he just totally overplays himself with this because, well, he could have been. Basically, he couldn't get to the open space that he left because of that shot selection, that choice. That's a nice sort of dynamic return 1-2 punch from Stricker, though. Similar as in the previous game, the first point of the previous game where Fields blasted a big backhand return at him and then finished it off with a cross-court winner. Here's the same pattern, but basically because it's a lefty, Stricker did it off the forehand side. But yeah, pretty much the same. Also, the last shot was the other direction, not cross. Well, cross, but inside out. Oh, I guess that makes it the same. It's just reversed because it's a lefty. Anyway, Stricker again, really pouncing here. I mean, he smells blood. He is gonna go at Fields and see what's gonna happen. And for now, I mean, the last 2 points, things have been happening. Attacks him, rushes the backhand, can't get the pass. 30-all. 2 points away from the set, Stricker. 2 points away from the tiebreak Fields. We might even get a deciding point where it's going to be even more crunch time like. Well, so far it's Fields with the ace down the tee. His best serve of the match, 100%, like as a whole, that serve down the tee at on the deuce side. It's been bringing him a lot of aces. No ace on the outside though, so 40-30, second serve. Stricker again with a big return. Will he capitalize? Ooh, just barely misses this forehand cross. I think it would have been well, I don't know if Fields would have got into it, but it would have been at least let's say a point-winning shot in that, maybe he would have had to put away the volley or a forehand, who knows, but I think he would have won a point with it. But this is finally the sort of Stricker that you expect to watch, right? Like, this is not the Stricker from the first set who was kind of getting out-hit by Fields and wasn't trying to do all that much with it. But this energy, this dynamic player in the last game, that was Dominic Stricker. That was the true Dominic Stricker. And we see him again in the next point, but this time it's Fields with this very unpleasant forehand pass, which is like just barely over the net at the middle, forces Stricker to play on the half volley. And it's such a tough shot to pull off. I don't, I wouldn't necessarily criticize him for this. Nice cross-court backhand from Fields, and now he is just in control. Yeah, once he finds a decent cross-court backhand in this exchange against Stricker's forehand, then of course he can switch to his best shot, and usually the point is toast by then. So he's the one to get the first mini break here. In the second set tiebreak, of course, was Stricker with all the early action leading to 1 and then 4-1 with 2 mini breaks. Now it's Fields with, actually it's a let. But no, there's going to be a video review of this? Really? We're going to see a video review of whether there was a let? That's what it said on the umpire's tablet, but then we don't actually see that. So yeah, I don't really know what it meant. But anyway, Fields was, had to serve again despite hitting an ace. Well, despite. Of course, it wasn't an ace because it was a let, so it wasn't actually an ace. And he gets kind of lost in all this. Stricker counters backhand crosscourt, and Fils is a bit slow to move to it, actually. So the mini break has been restored. We are back at level terms, or at least we will be if Stricker wins the next point. Oh my goodness, yeah, that's just, yeah, you cannot miss that. There's no need to go literally for the line here, you know? And on the replay, you can very clearly see how, yeah, he just overhits it so much. That serve is in though, so 3-2 for Fils, but it's still a mini break lead now after a +1 forehand that Stricker sent out. Did Fonini give a walkover or something? I'm seeing that on Twitter, but I don't know about it yet. I think he was supposed to play the last match in Maya today, so I guess it must have been a walkover. I heard he was injured yesterday and like just barely managed it. I don't see it yet on like Flash Score or something, but I think, yeah, I think he has withdrawn. Of course, that's not Next Gen Finals, but you guys can excuse me for a few challenger walkabouts. Yeah, Fonini has withdrawn indeed. So he's not going to finish the year in the top 100. I wonder if he's going to make the Australian Open main draw, but I guess now it's out of his control. It's just going to be down to luck, number of PRs, number of withdrawals. Anyway, 4-2 up, Fils in the first set tiebreak, so still with a mini break. And Stricker will actually get it back. That was a bit of a wild point because Fils has to play this reactive defensive shot. It falls really low behind the net. Stricker gets to it like barely and then forces Fils to hit a pretty tough forehand pass, which is, I think, an example of one of these shots where maybe Fils would just perform a little better at it if his forehand motion was a little more compact. But then he wouldn't, of course, have that ridiculous forehand topspin. And as we know from some second screen data of this year, I mean, he literally has the heaviest forehand on the tour. At least that was the case in Monte Carlo and Madrid, where I think these were kept. I don't think he even played Monte Carlo, but it was about that second event on clay, either Madrid or Rome, where he had the heaviest on tour. And speaking of that heavy forehand, I mean, that's another massive forehand return, which gives him the mini break right back, 5-3, just 2 points away from topping the group. The next serve will not be returned though, so 5-4, 2 serves. Easy, but also, you know, you lose just one of them and Stricker is still in the game, so. Nice +1 forehand as well from Fils. And 2 match points. Stricker is actually in this rally. He's smashing a few forehands and goes down the line. Yeah, that's the trademark again. That's the shot I've mentioned earlier, where he's pushed wide to his forehand corner. As he's not like the best mover in the game, he kind of has to cheat, and he just does that by smacking it down the line. And that's obviously a very exciting shot as well. needless to say, 141 kilometers an hour on that winner. He saves 1 match point, and now it's another one for Fields. Stricker approaches the net, but it's just a little too weak, you know, it's down the middle. It is pretty fast, but Fields has enough time to get out of the way and just pass him. So the guys are now at the net. They're, seems like there's some good fun and atmosphere between them. Maybe they're gonna play each other in the final. Maybe they're gonna play each other in the final. Who knows? I think it's certainly possible. I would be afraid of Medjedovic. Medjedovic is probably the main guy who can actually stop them. But yeah, these were the two pre-tournament favorites. They get out of the group. It was tougher than expected for Stricker, for sure. Fields still lost 3 sets, but this, besides the Nardi match, I think he delivered exactly what we expected of him. Stricker, last 2 matches, yeah, absolutely fine. It was just that one against Kobori where he was struggling with his thigh, where he maybe wasn't perfect, but otherwise, you know, he's been holding up okay. And yeah, they're in the semis, so I guess they sort of, the plan that they had before the tournament, it's probably done. So should any of the NextGen rules be used on the ATP? I mean, some of them are already, right? This is the event where the towel rack debuted. This is the event where we also had the shot clock for the first time. So it's not like some of these haven't been introduced. Should anything that is presently done? I don't know about the first serve, second serve shot clock. I kind of have to, we'd have to know the stats, whether it actually makes the game faster or not. I think the 15 seconds after an ace, double fault, or an unreturned serve is perfectly fine because you don't need to go for the towel after that, Can Stricker make the semis? He loses. Yeah, that's John. John already replied to that. Trademark Stricker shot, absolutely. Yeah. And exactly. Thanks, guys, for watching the stream. Today we also have 2 more matches coming up. I don't think we have streams for that, but of course, feel invited to watch that on your own. There's gonna be Medjedovic, Shelbike, and then Mikkelsen, Van Asch. And of course, this tournament is just going every single day. So tomorrow it's the semis. We don't know yet who Fields and Stricker are going to play, since the other group is also really unclear. And we should know more about the scenarios after Medjedovic, Shelbike, because no player has been eliminated yet and no player has gotten through yet. So, from me, that's all. And thank you for your active participation. Oh, John muted me already while I was talking. But yeah, and subscribe, because we're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. See ya.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready? Play.
Emma Raducanu has given an interview with the BBC where she's outlined her plans to return from injury, when that will be. She's also explained what she's been up to whilst away, and she's been watching much tennis. She's also got an answer for the critics, of which, some are on social media, but also, of course, many within the media. And she's also explained which is the slam that she would most like to win. What is her ultimate dream in tennis? So as I say, the interview was given to BBC London earlier on today, where she outlined her plans to return to next season, and also how she would one day love to win Wimbledon. So she will make her return to tennis next season after struggling with injuries mainly since May. She obviously had injuries since then, but she hasn't played since May. She withdrew from the Madrid Open, I think on the eve of the tournament, to basically have some operations. She's missed 3 of the 4 Grand Slams. She did play in Australia where she lost to Coco Gauff. And of course, just a couple of days ago, she dropped out of the world's top 200 and did confirm in this interview with BBC London that she will not be returning to the tour until next year. Britain didn't make the Billie Jean King Cup finals, which will take place in Seville in the south of Spain in November. Also, she has no hope of making the WTA finals, also in November. So she confirmed that next season will be her return to tennis. 20-year-old also said that the slams are obviously finished now, but it has been difficult to watch them go by. She was just said, "I want to stay in my lane as much as possible and keep focused on my recovery," were her exact words. The 20-year-old has been hampered though by injuries since winning that US Open title in 2021, when remarkably she managed to qualify and go all the way to the title without dropping a set in New York. She also made British #1 at one point as a result, but has not gone beyond the second round of any Grand Slam since that mesmeric, incredible run 2 years ago, when she became the first British woman in 44 years to win a major singles title since Virginia Wade. She was also asked about how she deals with criticism, and Raducanu had this to say: "The fact they are still talking about me, even though I'm not at these events, is just a compliment. Someone told me once, for example, 'Worry when they're not talking about you,'" she added. Raducanu has, of course, returned to the practice court. We did see some glimpses of her playing some short tennis in August, for example, the first time since she underwent surgery earlier on this year. And in fact, she only did play 10 matches in the first 5 months of the year. She said she does hope to return to better form and fulfill her Wimbledon dreams. "Wimbledon is the dream," she said, "and always has been growing up." Of course, she's from the UK, so it makes sense. She said, "It's the ultimate dream to win Wimbledon." Back in May, she seemed to undergo 3 successful surgeries. She said that she underwent the surgeries on both of her wrists and her ankle in a letter posted on social media. In fact, she said at the time, "It's safe to say the last 10 months, so that would have been the summer of 2022 until these surgeries in May of this year, have been difficult as I dealt with a recurring injury on a bone of both hands," she said at the time. She said she tried to manage the pain and play through it for most of the year, but in the end it was just getting too much. She was missing so much of training as well as certain tournaments anyway, that for her it made sense to go ahead with these procedures. Well, now she has confirmed that she will be back. I would imagine, therefore, for the Australian swing, maybe United Cup, end of December, beginning of January, perhaps, for the 250 in New Zealand or elsewhere. And then, of course, the Australian Open. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.